Hello and a very warm welcome to the Real Talk. How are you doing? Oh my God, the last few days were very, very busy. Kigali hosted the inaugural International Security Conference on Africa. That was an amazing experience for me. I had like a front seat. It was amazing seeing all these great minds from the continent come together to discuss our peace and security. And there was so much for me to learn. You see, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that I am an expert in these things. I went in knowing very little. Enriched. Now, the other good thing that came out of this event was networking and meeting some great new people. I've made lots of friends. One of those friends I'm hosting on the show today. A young man, I will call him young. Don't know if you will see his picture and think he's young, but a young man from Nigeria who was here for the conference. He had an opportunity to moderate one of the best panels that we had on this particular event. He's amazing with the TV background and entrepreneurship as well. I want you to stay with us because there's going to be so much you will learn from my guest. Let's meet the guest. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on RTV and on our official YouTube channel. My name is Jackie Lumbasi and our guest is Chukwuemeka Fred Agbata. Let's get to know a bit about him, Fred. Tell us about you. Where were you born? A bit about your childhood. The Real Talk is a storytelling platform. So tell us stories.
First and foremost, viewers, glad to be here. And thank you, Jackie, for having me. It's always a pleasure when you meet superstars and you're superstars.
I'm humbled. Who's a superstar here?
You are. Thank you very much. Born and bred in Lagos, Nigeria, bustling city. The city that never sleeps, born there, grew up there, went to university there, been all my life in Africa. Occasionally had the opportunity to travel out of Africa in and out. And one of the things that I've also tried to do a bit is that I've tried to, transverse Africa. I think that I'm in my 20-something African country now.
Oh, wow.
With Rwanda.
With Rwanda, yes.
The latest. So I ticked out my box. So I've been to a couple of other African countries. I try to make it, I try to say, I said to myself in my lifetime, I'm going to do the 54 African countries in my lifetime. At least visit them and spend some time there to just experience the rich culture and diversity, Africa for me, it's a paradox, right? It's a continent so blessed, so wealthy, so rich, and yet so fragmented.
Yeah.
And
I think as Africans, as people on the continent, we don't realize how much we have.
Yeah, no,
we don't. We take it for granted.
No, we take it for granted. We take it for granted that, I used to have a friend, one of my very good friends, the German, she said to me, she said, Fred, I think you guys don't know. I know you guys look at us in the West and you think we're all so super good. Our lives are boring as hell.
Yes.
That's what she said. Literally, she said because, you think, oh, everything's so organized. Sometimes these things bore us. Like we want a bit of life. Yeah. So each time I come to Lagos, I'm just excited for you guys. The passion. You know what?
A bit of chaos.
Do you know what she found interesting?
Yeah.
That we could laugh.
Something.
No, I'm not kidding you.
That we could laugh.
She said you guys
laugh. Yes.
You guys just laugh. See, you just
and then we laugh even for no reason.
Yes. Just laugh.
Oh my God.
That was her point. He said, in the West, nobody cares to laugh. The laughter is diminishing. That was her point. So I honestly love it here, and that's why I'm happy to be in Kigali for the inaugural ISCA conference, and looking forward to more of these conferences.
Beautiful. For someone who's come from Lagos, a very busy, populated, chaotic city.
Did you have to say that?
I had to say that, my goodness. How are you feeling being in Kigali? How do you find it?
Well, Kigali is gentle. I like the gentility.
You love it.
Because even yesterday I went to the downtown.
Yeah.
And I know that because I saw a lot of shops where they're trading. And I could tell, I also went to the area where you say, where you have a lot of the people live, the real people, not this part where I am. And I noticed that, even though it was busy, it was still gentle. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, there's gentility here.
And the air is different
Yeah,
compared to your...
there is different, you know. There is different, you know. Lagos doesn't sleep. Like Lagos,
Yeah, it doesn't
I mean,
sleep,
if you can live and survive in Lagos,
But though you can survive anywhere else. Yeah.
it's really crazy.
Amazing. So then your childhood, what kind of family were you raised in?
Well,
How many siblings do you have?
decent family, total of 3 siblings, a boy and a girl, and myself, 2 boys and a girl. Grew up typically close-knitted family, shared everything together when life used to be very communal.
Strict parents, so easygoing parents?
Strict parents, easygoing, churchy parents,
Churchy
gotta go to
parents,
church all
okay.
the time. You know, so it was a cool background. Gave me an opportunity to explore, of course, even though one of the things, by the way, I can sing very well. So one of the things my parents didn't do was they were...
Look, you have an amazing voice.
Oh,
yeah.
did you hear me sing yesterday? You didn't hear me sing?
No, I didn't.
No, I was singing.
But we danced a bit. I saw you dance. I would love us to do more of that.
I was singing very well. In fact, at some point,
Where did you sing? Because we didn't have a singing competition.
Yeah, you didn't. But when your folks were singing, the people,
Yes,
the band was
the
singing,
dance group and the band.
I was singing alongside with them.
You should have asked for the microphone.
And my voice was sounding pretty good that my neighbors had to turn and they were looking at. By the way, I was singing with Moki. She's a good singer. Like ask her. Like we were singing so well.
That was the table.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were singing.
That's the table.
We sat at the same table. We were singing so well. Oh, you heard us?
Oh God.
Oh, you heard us?
I heard you. I
we were
couldn't
singing so
tell
well.
it was you. Of
like
course.
we didn't even care. Like you know, because so
That is
I
amazing.
said that to say that
Yeah.
you know I told my mom when I was younger that I wanted to sing. Oh, she laughed me to scorn. So I didn't pursue a music career. She laughed at me. She was like, no man, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because I don't blame her because I was doing multiple things, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been restless, and even now, if you look at my profile, if I read out all the things that I've done,
I was looking at your
probably-
profile and it's all over the place.
it's probably a lot.
It's all over the place. I hope with this TV interview, you will try and narrow it down to something orderly.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, a bit organized.
I'll do my best. I can't guarantee you,
But you will try.
because I do quite a lot, you know, especially because the African continent presents lots of opportunities.
What was the first thing you did? You know, you're growing, coming out of the shell.
So the first thing
Moving
that I
into
did,
adulthood, yes.
do you mean after university?
After university, or
So
even
while,
if
so,
you
so
stay,
while,
even if it was
while
before
in university,
university.
I was already doing businesses, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I was already doing businesses. So I'll go buy up bunk spaces or buy up rooms, then I'll sell it.
Rooms.
Rooms.
Oh, rooms.
So you come to
Or
university.
spaces within
spaces within
accommodation.
universities, accommodation. Yeah, so I was doing accommodation business already. So everyone goes home, I'll wait, buy up all the rooms, buy up the spaces, and then when people start coming, I'll start selling. So that was one of the businesses that I did.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So I
Was
was
this in
doing
your
that.
first year at the university, or is it
For
later?
my second year.
Okay.
For my second year, the first year. Even
You
first
saw
year.
a business opportunity.
Yeah, I saw an opportunity because I noticed that when people come, they always rush it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy it up. When they come to me.
You know, let me tell you something, Fred. It's normally said entrepreneurs are born. I think, do they say they are born or made? Okay, whichever the case. There are those that are born and others are made. The entrepreneur's mind is very different from our mind. Because I'll go to a hostel, I'll go to the university and I'm going to study. Let me just get my degree. And then I meet some people, I've met people even on the show, they tell me how they started selling shoes when they were young, when they were at the university. Someone went to uni and started selling handbags. Like their entrepreneurship started on campus. This man here would buy rooms and rent them out. That is amazing.
No, I mean, all my life, like I live, I sleep, I dream entrepreneurship. Because I think, for example, Africa, that's the only way we can get Africa moving, right?
Before we get there, so you do the rooms, then what was the next business?
So I did the rooms and I did that, did a bit of businesses here and there. Then after school, I said, okay, you know what? Before I dabble fully into business, I'm going to get a corporate experience because I wanted to just get a bit of a corporate experience, just so you understand how a corporate setting works, right? So, but I negotiated with myself that I'm not going to do these things that job seekers do, or I beg to apply, you know. So I said, okay, you know what? Because I want to be in tech, I am going to go into telecommunications. So what I did was I wrote out the numbers and the addresses of all the telecommunication companies in Nigeria, and I wrote them a letter to the CEOs, and I said to the CEOs that I've done my research and I know you have a gap here, here, here. So this is me. I offer myself to help you fill those gaps. Trust me with your employment. And I got a job. That's how I got a job.
One of the many people you wrote to responded, you got a job.
Yeah, I got
you
a
went
job.
in.
Yeah, I
Got your
went in.
corporate experience.
So I did that. I did that for about 4 years. And of course, you could tell that I did pretty well. And I got to a point where I got bored. And I said, okay, it's time to follow my calling. So,
And you said you're restless.
Yeah, I'm restless.
People like you get bored really fast.
Yeah. 4 years.
4 years was long.
Yeah, 4 years was, yeah. So I just wrote my resignation and I left. So I started out into oil and gas trading. So I went to oil and gas. You know, and unfortunately for me, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't usually get power experiences. I just hop in. You know, so before oil and gas, I got into transportation. So I got buses. I got bikes, and I put them out, you know.
Did you buy them? Did you?
Yeah, I bought them. Because, you know, corporate experience, what I did was I saved up a bit of money.
Yes, because where did the money come from?
So,
you saved?
Yeah, I saved, yeah.
Around what age were you?
I was in my 20s,
And
early 20s.
And you're getting buses and
Yeah,
bikes and all?
early 20s.
With a bit
So
of
I
loan
saved.
from the bank?
No loan. No loan.
Why you-
Because I saved. I mean,
Okay.
one of the reasons why I went into
There in
corporate.
Nigeria, do you come from the royal family? Because
Average family.
because for sure, if your
No,
family,
average
if you're
family.
not getting any bank loans, you can't save enough from a 4-year job.
You know,
unless that was a
you know,
very good
we're just
job.
talking offset,
Well,
right?
yeah.
One of the most important thing every individual out there must learn is how to live within your means. You can't just live life with the Joneses of the Joneses. You can't just buy because I'm buying, right? You got to buy because you can afford it, and because when you buy, you've got reserves, right? So those are the principles of anyone who wants to just, you know, live an above average life, right?
Yeah.
So while I was there, I had a bit of money, saved a bit of money, you know, and that was the money I used into that business. But to cut the long story short, I lost everything.
What?
2 years later, I lost everything. I made some bad business decisions. I trusted people I shouldn't trust, and everything went down the drain.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my
So, and just imagine prior to that, I had a team of over 12 people. I had staff, I had this, I had that, I had an office space, blah, blah, blah. I had to shut down everything, sold everything, lost everything. So I literally started life afresh. So I went to my dad and I said to my dad that, you know, I can easily get a job, but I don't want to get a job, right? Tech has always been my passion, even though because I deviated and went into other things instead of me to focus, because I've always wanted tech. And by the way, my first degree is in sociology. So you wouldn't even call me a tech, a scientist, computer scientist, right? So it was more about learning by doing, right? Yeah. So I told my dad, so all I need from you now is just give me a loan. I want to buy a laptop, because then I also lost my laptop. So I got a loan from him. I got a brand new laptop.
Like you lost everything.
I lost everything.
If you couldn't even afford to buy a
No,
laptop.
I lost everything, like everything. You know, every single thing. You know, and looking back, I think that God just wanted me to, you know, go on a different trajectory. So I had to start afresh, and that was the journey that started, you know, my tech journey. So the only thing I could have done then, because I didn't, again, part of the errors that I made was that I didn't upgrade myself while I was doing my corporate job. I was enjoying the corporate job, and that's the thing about corporate job, right? You know, I was being paid well. Yeah. I had a good life, got a good apartment, had cars. So I mean, I didn't bother about developing myself. So when that happened, all I had was my writing skills and my ability to speak, and that was it. And so I started a blog.
And your degree.
And my degree.
Yes.
Which I have never
But
gone
now
back
you
to.
aren't interested in looking for a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
So, but I said to myself that would be my last option. So if I
Okay.
tried this, so I said to my dad, if I try this, it doesn't work, I promise I'll go and get a job. But I think I can make this work. I think, you know. So I then started a blog. So that was the beginning. So the blog was the very first thing that I do after I lost my business. So I was in that wilderness, I'll call it.
What were you
for
writing
about 3
about?
years in that wilderness. You know, it was about 3. It was the darkest moment of my life, because I went from being a very comfortable young man to being very broke.
Share that time, because just the other day somebody was on X and they asked, have you ever left a job because of your mental health? And I went through the comments and somebody mentioned that they they lost their job and lost everything that they had, and it took them 9 months to recover, and it was the worst part, the worst phase of their life. And I just want to hear about that experience for you. How was it knowing that you had come from that position? And imagine that position, your phone is constantly ringing. Yeah. Your friends are looking for you to buy you drinks, or you buy them drinks. You have, you're an important person because you have cash. Yeah. And then you have 3 years where you're struggling to get back on your feet. How many people in your phone book could you even reach out? Just share that, because that is a lived experience. I thank God I haven't been through that, but there could be someone who's been through it and is watching the show, or someone, and they recovered, or someone who's currently going through it.
You know,
and they need to be encouraged by you.
Yeah,
because when somebody looks at your smile now, they cannot tell you had 3 years of struggle.
I mean, it was a very dark period, and it was a period that just stopped me, because here was I prior to that period. I could tell you that I dashed out the car. I bought a car and dashed someone. So like it was like I had liquidity, like laptops, I made people happy. But literally everyone disappeared. So I think that's really what happens, when the going is good, you have. And yourself also, you may not able, but of course I've learned from that personal experience, right? I know how to situate things properly now, right? I don't get carried away by whatever. Yeah. But the point is that happened. That taught me a bit of lesson. Why I think it was tougher for me, it could have been faster, but because I was just adamant on not getting a paid employment. It was just me and my stubbornness and my thinking that I could do this, it's going to be tough, but I'm going to do it. Because the thing about paid employment is that why I made that decision is that, yes, it's going to put money in my pocket, but I may not have the time, depending on my kind of boss and the kind of work, I may not have the time to acquire the skills that I needed very quickly to advance, right? And so, because during those dark periods, that was when I started really going deep into technology. I was learning how to code on myself, on YouTube. I was learning how to write codes. I was attending different kind of courses, different kind of programming and stuff, And so that period, though it was dark financially, but it was the period where I then built myself so well that when I came out, the New York. In fact, it was in that period that I then wrote a goal. And my goal, I said, in 5 years, I'll be the most sought after tech media personality in Nigeria. And mind you, after that point, it was the day I wrote that goal, was the day I started my blog. I wasn't into technology. I was just about going into technology. But because of that experience and that drive and that desire, I wrote a goal. I said, in 5 years, I'll be, and boy, in 5 years, I was actually there. I was one of the.
Your name had changed. Your title had changed.
No. I was one of the people.
And you were the most sought after tech journalist.
I like to say one of, because there's also awesome people. But in my goal, I said one of. I didn't want to say the most sought after.
Yes,
but I became quite prominent. Yeah, and that's what has led to also the role that I occupy today, because today I also I work for a sub-regional government. Nigeria is a federation, so I lead a sub-regional government, and my role, working with the governor, and my role in that position is to create tech policies for over 10 million Nigerians who are part of the state. So you could tell how you could transition just by being disciplined, by believing in yourself, and by being entrepreneurial. I mean, there's so much I could also talk about my entrepreneurial journey, how I went from the blog, and how
I would love to hear that. How you went to the Pace Venture.
That was even down the ladder, right? During that period, one of the things that I did, I've always understood the power of writing, and I've also understood the power of expressing yourself. I don't know. I don't wait for you to tell me how awesome I am. I'm awesome. Like, I'm literally awesome.
Yeah.
I'm amazing.
You're amazing.
I don't wait for you to tell me.
Yeah.
I tell you. If I
because you know it. Because I know it. Because
when I was talking to Colonel Tanzi, he said, "You gotta deliver." I said, "Colonel, just look at me.
Yeah.
Am I not delivering myself? Just let's start from that.
And the definition.
Yeah, I'm delivery. So delivery, I'm going to deliver. But you see, what that also does to my psyche is that when I say these things, it means that I gotta beat myself to be better, because you can't
That's right,
you
yeah.
can't pronounce things
That you're
and then
not.
you flop.
Oh, yes.
So what then happens is that you got to go back and you're going to learn so hard. So people have different style, but that was my style, that was my strategy, and it worked for me. So I'll come out then and I'll say to you, I said, have you met me? So I had to brand myself,
I love
CFA.
it.
So have you
Yes.
met me?
Yes.
Like I'm one of the most sought after media personality. Now without me, your show is going to fail. You know, that was how I was crafting it out, and that's how I got on TV, I got on radio, I became a columnist for the biggest newspaper in Nigeria back then, you know, and that also then started my tech journey. So in my tech journey, apart from the fact that I started as a blogger, I said to myself, you know what? So I was having lunch with the same lady who said to me that we smile a lot, and she asked me, she said, Fred, you're popular, people like you, people follow you, but don't you think that your children is going to ask you questions that why didn't you invest, and why were you not part of the tech boom happening in Nigeria, in Africa? Because you seem to be reporting, you're doing like what you're doing a good job, you're reporting, you're interviewing everyone, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
But have you thought about the fact that you're not going to make the money?
You see?
Have you thought about the fact that when you retire, you're going to be broke? She was like, you know, women.
After you've interviewed
You know, like,
people.
you know, women
Yeah.
can be. I was just looking at her. I was just looking at her. I'm like, man, this
Yeah.
woman, what are you doing? Like, she asked me such prodding questions
Yeah.
that I went back. I said to myself, I said, man, this woman has just started a new chapter. And guess what? The following month, I was talking to a US-based founder institute. In fact, at some point, I launched a chapter in Kigali. I launched chapters in 13 African countries. And in the last 5 years, I've helped launch at least 300 startup companies across Africa. And that's the passion,
Fred.
just because of a question that someone asked me.
Yeah.
You know, and that now gave me the opportunity to be a practitioner in the startup ecosystem, where I have my own startups that I'm part of, that I'm on their board, that I'm their advisor. You know, they look up to me, and that gave me real insight around startup development.
Yeah.
And so I saw the gap, that there was a gap between startup development and funding. So what did I do? I said, so Jackie, I must tell you one of my secrets, and which I'd like to share with your audience. If you want to survive in the world today, don't do anything alone.
Don't do anything alone.
Yes. Find collaborators. If you have to pray, pray. If you have to fast, fight. If you have to go out there and shout, find
Just find
collaborators.
someone to work with.
Find someone to work with. And you must have the right mindset. You know, a lot of people say, oh, partnerships don't work. I don't believe in partnerships. And I said to them, let me tell you the truth. In today's world of technology, driven by technology, you can't run away from partnerships.
Yeah.
All the big techs, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Yahoo, they are all forms of partnerships.
Yeah.
You might have
You
might have a louder partner, the silent partner, but usually they are all forms of partnerships happening across. So always find partners. So I learned that earlier on. So I called a friend of mine. I said to him, I said, you know what, guy, we don't have the experience, but we're going to start a fund. And Jackie, guess what? 18 months later, we closed the fund of $1 million, and we've done some good investments. One of the investments we have is an AI company, which I'm part of the board, that now has over 40 AI engineers. And I didn't say it to the audience, and we are working with clients across the globe.
Let's take a short break. I am amazed. You're an incredible man. Now that you mentioned AI, and AI featured quite a bit on the security conversations, I would love to know more about what you're doing with these AI, you call them AI engineers?
AI engineers,
Yes,
yeah.
I would love to know what you're doing with them.
Yeah.
And Africa's place in this whole revolution.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Real Talk. Please, if you have any questions, any thoughts, share them using the hashtag The Real Talk. It will be great to hear from you. Our guest is Fred. He is amazing. Just listening to his story, a guy that has done such great things with himself. You'll find him on the different social media platforms to know more about him and even his ventures. We will be back in just a bit. Don't leave. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for taking time to stay with us. Fred, before we took the break, you're talking about the fact that you started this venture, your startup.
Yep.
You now have over 40 AI engineers.
Yeah.
And at the security conference, I remember, I think it was Martin. Martin said that we're in an AI revolution. And he said a revolution is not a very comfortable place. Sometimes it gets confusing. And then there was this guy called Victor Gao. And Victor Gao said, in this AI revolution, Africa needs to ask itself, what is its place?
Yep.
What is Africa's place in all this? So you have first-hand experience and
Yep.
you're working with AI engineers. What is your take on AI in Africa and for Africa?
I love the way you pivoted into AI. I can see it's exciting you.
It is. It's an exciting topic.
But you know, Jackie, that as part of the excitement, there are a number of industries that will be disrupted. You're aware, right? So AI, as much as it's a blessing, is going to also be a disruptor. So if you're watching this show, this is a question I always ask myself: how can AI disrupt me in the next 1 year? Am I going to still be relevant in what I do? It's a question every
individual should be asking
Yeah,
themselves
you just
that
ask
question.
yourself that question because it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming for all our industries.
It's coming for all our industries.
Yes.
It's coming. I mean, for example, in the medical industry, AI-trained medical doctors are going to earn more than regular medical doctors. So it means that if you can use, so a friend of mine just did a surgery recently, and he was telling me, my partner, he was telling me that the surgery was done by a robot. You know, so the guy just sat somewhere, programmed this guy, this thing just went straight. He was like, and he was awake. So he was like, man, what is going on? Like, there was no doctor in the room. Like what, these guys, are you guys insane? Like, what are you guys doing? You know, I heard China just launched an all AI hospital. You know, no patients, no doctors, everything, the nurses, everything end to end AI.
I also read
robotics.
somewhere where a school, I can't remember which country, but a school is now introducing AI teachers.
Yeah. So yeah, AI teachers.
And you know what it said? The news beat said how the AI teachers understand students better than real human teachers. I'm like, what do you mean?
You didn't like that part, right?
And they don't treat all students the same.
Yeah.
To this AI teacher, every child is unique. Like an AI knows that better than me.
So it is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Now Africa, so where we are now, we are, for lack of a better word, at a disadvantage. And the reason for that, not because we don't use these tools, but the reason for that is that the core infrastructure that powers these models, these large language models, we don't even have, we can't even come close to even affording that. So we're not even in that conversation. Yeah. So the conversation where we are is when these models are done or where the base is done, we can then now build on it. But which then means that we don't have the entire data, the entire infrastructure is out of our control.
Yeah.
That's
Nothing is ours. Yeah, we don't have anything that is that we can claim.
That's the reality. However, I think what we can then now do is that, you know, when life gives you lemon, make a lemonade out of it. And I think that what we can then now do, become early adopters, see what we can do around using to build solutions to solve problems, you know. But the reason why I pointed out that bigger issue of the infrastructure is so that African countries should know that collaboration is very critical so that we can begin to build some homegrown technologies that would help us power our own AI-driven future. So having said that, what we were doing with the labs, and even the labs, we had even the sheer amount, the sheer cost of even running your own local models, it's so expensive. Even the cost of power, it's so expensive. Like it's so expensive. So what we then now did is, okay, so while we're trying to do the local or the customized models for a language, let's start building solutions and serving customers. And guess what? 65% of our customer is coming from North America. So we're actually building solutions from Africa for North America. We're using AI to solve North American companies. Because guess what? It's cheaper for them, right? Yeah, because their own AI. I mean, AI is a very hot cake now, right? So which means that it is not cheap. AI engineers are expensive. So it means that the cost of...
So for someone in America, if they can have someone in Africa work for them using AI, they'd rather use that
Exactly, because it's cheaper, right? Okay. And then we create opportunities here, we create employment here, which is what is happening now. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's growing quite well that we also now have a North American CEO and an African CEO.
There's an argument someone brought up, and it was in Nigeria. I think a service provider in Nigeria worked for a Nigerian in Canada or somewhere. And so they came down and they were saying, why should a Nigerian investor or a Nigerian based in Canada want me to do for them work, and they pay me less than they would pay someone someone in Canada. And that argument was raging. And this Nigerian guy said, oh, if you think I was going to pay you the same amount I'd pay someone in Canada, you're lying to yourself. Because if anything, I'm coming to Nigeria because it will be cheaper.
Yes, actually.
And that imbalance.
It's just Jackie, honestly, again, I mean, that's life. Like, you know, I mean, there's no straight answer. I'm a businessman. I want the best deal possible. So if you're not willing to give the best deal, I'll go somewhere else. But you can't.
So for this person in Nigeria,
if
they wanted to be paid the same amount someone in Canada is being paid, and this client is not willing, they should have left the work. Not accept it, then you start lamenting afterwards.
Exactly. You cannot accept it and then you lament. But because by the way, I also have options. If I am not willing, if Nigeria, for example, is not willing to use to Nigeria, there's so many other African developers that would also be allowed. You know, for example, I know that ChatGPT built a lot of his models leveraging Kenya youthful population, right? You know, and there were even cases of abuses on them. You know, how they abuse. How they abuse. So the point is that there's always. I mean, I call for fair play, right? But again, in the world of trade, in the world of business, it's really about demand and supply. I mean, if the demand is not good, then the supply. So demand and supply, and that's what's happening in AI now, right?
Yeah. You love Africa. You're passionate about Africa.
Very passionate about Africa.
Off air, you told me even if you're paid, I do not know how much, you would never think of going elsewhere. And yet there are some people that are watching us and they're thinking of a way out. People have put their lives at risk trying to get out of this continent. They'd rather drown. I've seen a documentary where someone said, I would rather drown than suffer in this African country that they mentioned. When you look at such stories, how do you feel? But also,
it's
to a young man or woman who's desperately looking for a way out.
It's heartbreaking, Jackie. I mean, sometimes, you know, I mean, if I say this, someone will say, oh no, he's saying it because he's very comfortable.
That's what, they'll see that. He's speaking from a place of privilege. They like to say that.
There's no war or something happening. But what I would say is, there are opportunities in Africa. And the good thing is that Africa is also opening up, you know, I mean, coming to Rwanda, I didn't have to get a visa. You know, I got here and I got the visa. Like, Africa is opening up, so perhaps we also need to see how to explore cross-regional trade. We have the FICTA, see how to improve trade. But I don't subscribe to people, you know, risking their lives just because they want to cross the border. I think there are opportunities in Africa. I have also had my chance to leave the shores of Africa, but I had to decide. And I didn't even just get a student visa or a study visa, a visitor's visa. I got what you call the extraordinary talent visa, which is like the O1. It's called the O1 visa.
I don't know.
It's given to, according to the US, the top 1% of professionals from across the world, and you get it from the Homeland Security. That was the type I got, and that leads you.
You let it pass.
Yeah, let it pass. It's going to be an easy path to your green card, easy path to your permanent residency, and easy path to probably citizenship, like if you want, right? I had to make a decision, right? And it was at the point where I was called for this state service, right? And my boss now asked me, to come over, join his government to see how we can build technology for the state. And I agreed, and no regrets, because I believe that, life is all about opportunities and decisions, right? When you make a decision, you stick by your decision, but the decision to be on the continent, I have no regrets. I will do it over and over again. I love it here. I love the sun. I love the people. I love the culture. Yeah. I love the laughter. I love the weather. So I think that more and more Africans should embrace who they are. But it also starts with you also deciding, really, what do you want to make out of this life? What is life for you? For me, life is minimal comfort. Life is, meeting your most basic needs and living a good life. Living a good life, that's what is important to me. Yeah. Private jets, if it happens, fine, but it's It's not my priority.
As you said earlier, there are people with private jets, but they don't laugh.
You see this laughter?
You know, you see this
I don't want to
laughter?
trade
My
it.
goodness, and you would never be able to pay
Nah,
for this.
I don't
so
want to trade it.
you can afford to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
And then let's come back to the security conference. Your experience with it. How was it throughout the sessions, but also the session that you hosted that had quite big shots. It was a deep conversation. And the general feeling about Africa having this discussion on the continent.
I mean, first thing I think President Paul Kagame set the stage right when he said that Africa cannot or can no longer outsource its security. Yes. I mean, so it's interesting to have a meeting for Africans by Africans discussing real African security challenges. Because at the end of the day, Africa has minerals. And as long as you have minerals, there'll be conflict. It is for Africa to sit down and decide. I think one of the panelists called it yesterday, wars of choice.
Yes.
Yeah, wars of choice, yeah. We've got to sit down and decide, especially because of the dynamic nature of today's warfare. I mean, the panel that I had was the panel around cybersecurity. I can tell you, Jackie, in the next, it's even the case now, but in the next 3-5 years, wars could be started by just cybersecurity. Oh. Yeah, deep fakes. I mean, one of the doctors in my panel talked about how somebody released a deep fake video, and the next day, there was civil unrest in Kenya. You see? And lives were lost.
Yeah.
Just
because it's so real.
Because it's so real.
And people are not taking time to fact check.
Fact check.
Yes, you find a video, you jump on it, and that's it.
But let me ask you, Jackie, how are you going to fact check a deep fake?
A deep fake. Oh, that's a very good
question.
So
I think it's even more about the education.
Yeah.
Just first and foremost, it's not everything you see online that is real.
For me, now that's for me.
Just have that mindset.
That's what I live by.
You have to interrogate everything.
Yes, thank you. Be able to interrogate everything.
Everything. You just can't believe.
Yeah. You know, I saw that during elections in one of the countries. It was actually Kenya, not another country. So we had elections, but these elections were 5 years apart. One was very violent. This other one was not as violent, but people were bringing pictures from the past.
And claiming that
this is what is going on now in Kisumu, this is what is going on now. So you find these are old pictures that if you don't fact check, that people in a different location will say, oh, if those ones have started fighting, let us also do fight. So my approach... Misinformation.
Disinformation.
Online, I approach everything with a pinch of salt. I just don't look at things on the surface and stop there.
So it then tells us that if we know this, it means that we have to then now create education, not the regular 4 walls university education, basic etiquettes around the use of devices, the use of social media, and all the likes in multiple languages, Swahili, name it, and just push it around and let people understand that this piece of thing that we call phone is attempting. So the algorithms, the way the algorithms are designed, in my own explanation, they are designed to conquer us. They are designed to control us. They are designed to create a bubble around our lives. So I'll give you a typical example. Each time you hit the like button on Facebook, for example, it tells the algorithm that you like this kind of content. Guess what happens? That's all you see.
The phone will be flooded with
such.
Yes.
And then it creates a bubble. So you hardly, except once in a while you go out, but most times you then now see carefully curated content around this. So for example, if all you do is hate, then they fuel you with more hate. Get what happened. So it's a lot of education that needs to happen to people to understand that in as much as you have access to these devices, you've got to use them intelligently, responsibly. You've got to know how to like you said, fact check, which I know is, that's when people say fact check, like, how are you going to fact check? How would a normal, just a regular person, how are you going to fact check a deepfake video? I asked that question. That's going to be very easy. The only people who can do that are people who have access to these tools. And there are people who are a bit more advanced in tech and stuff. So, like I was talking to you about VPN. A lot of people think that VPN is usually when you want to bypass censorship.
Yes.
But VPN actually provides you an advanced level of security, especially for public Wi-Fi.
What do you mean? So here I am in my peaceful Rwanda.
Please do not, especially for you who's a TV star.
Yeah.
who's a
kidding me.
superstar.
You're kidding me.
Jackie?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anything could happen.
Your phone will be interesting. Your phone will be interesting. So
I just thought of something.
So you gotta be careful, So your phone will be interesting. So it means that when you are out of what you would call a safe network,
yes,
you should actually have your VPN on just to provide that extra layer. Because you know what? When you're in this particular place, a particular IP address is assigned to you, and your name invariably shows up somewhere, in the DCP, HP, somewhere, someone just feel a bit and know that, okay, this is Jackie's phone on this set of IPs, right? And it could even be an internal actor. It doesn't have to even be external. It could be an internal actor who just wants to, oh, Jackie, I see you on TV, she's beautiful. Can I? Exactly, and then, so my point is, but if you have a VPN on, it will mask your IP address, and it might be a bit more difficult, even though it's not foolproof. So my point is that...
So you're saying it's not 100%?
Nothing. Jackie, let me shock you. Nothing. Absolutely nothing is foolproof. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. There's what you even call zero-day attacks. Minute attacks. Attacks that happen by the minute. And so when the attack happens, the cybersecurity companies, they have to find a patch. By the time they patch it, the next day it's happening again. So it means that, and we always say this in the tech space, innovation always plays catch up. It's always difficult, so you just keep playing catch up. So that's the way it is in the cybersecurity world. So nothing is foolproof, right? So even though, the states, the policymakers, they all try to meet up, but these guys are all, because the guys who do this thing, they could just be in a place for 3 weeks. Coffee, donut, pizza, hack. Coffee, donut, pizza, hack. That's what they do.
3 weeks and they move out.
Exactly. And then because they also have skills, they infuse AI. So they want to send a DDoS attack, AI-enabled DDoS attack. They want to send a phishing attack, use AI, send phishing accounts to 10 million accounts at once. That's why even to download a picture on WhatsApp can be a trap. So for example, my WhatsApp is set not to download pictures automatically. Some people leave their WhatsApp, it downloads pictures automatically. Danger sign. Dangerous. So you got to set it to be that you will be the one to download.
Then as you said, we need to be educated about
this,
honestly, because we are more and more of us are acquiring phones, and then we're leaving them in the hands of our children.
So let me even shock you. So when you change your phone and you wipe away all the data, it's not really gone.
It's not done. It's not gone.
No, it's not gone.
You mean I can give that phone to someone and they could recover everything I wiped out?
Yep.
So reboot is not reboot.
Let me tell you, do you know the only way? Put it in the mortar, the African mortar, and pound it.
No way.
That's the only way to escape.
Oh, gosh.
So even in this conference,
that is scary. That's scary.
Someone was telling me this conference, he got a flash drive 6 years ago. He got corrupted, so he wiped it out, so it became a new flash drive. So he went online and downloaded an open source software, and he put it on his system, put back the flash drive, and recovered files of more than 6 years. Just in this conference. And recovered 5 files in more than 6 years. Just in this, and this is a flash drive, flash disk. 6 years files, everything recovered. He said he was shocked that it was corrupted. He cleared it himself. And
he saw it himself. He cleared it.
He found everything. Just a free software on the internet. So we live in very interesting times. And so our government...
So you know what? Yes, our governments. What should our governments do? But also, now as clearly we are at the hands and mercy of others. Because we go online and there's lots of softwares being sent our way.
Lots.
Oh, download this to stay safe, la la la. But they're not our softwares.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful. So everything. I think that in terms of what African government should do is collaboration. We have to drop the... So yes, I agree, because of nation state, because of sovereignty, because of pride, let's allow for fiscal borders. But if we think we're going to survive with digital borders, so same way, for example, Rwanda has this space physically, and he wants to go on the cyberspace, and they'll have this space, Nigeria to have this space, Kenya to have this space, we're not going to survive it. Because we're going to build in silos. These guys are so powerful, so sophisticated, so energized that they will fall down our silos. The only way forward is that we have to collapse the digital border and find ways to collaborate effectively, share information, share intelligence on the go, second by second, minute by minute. That's the only way to stay ahead of these guys. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves just grappling, for air. Crypto scams are happening. Like, there's so much that we can talk about in this space of cybersecurity, and which is why the ISCA conference, great development. Looking forward to making. One of the advice that I said is that we're going to find ways to get more young people involved. So even though it's military, but they just got to find a way to get more young people involved, because at the end of the day, the young ones are the future of Africa. This is a continent where people are 25, almost 70% are 25 years and below. That's a very young continent. So you can't be talking about security and you can't find a way to infuse your young. You just can't find a way to fuse them into the conversation. And that's a very big takeaway, because this is a very timely, important conversation around how do we safeguard our cyberspace. Like I said, the wars of the future will be around cybersecurity, cyber threat, cyber terrorism, cyber warfare. One of the guys from Sudan yesterday was talking about how mercenaries were firing drone-related weapons into Sudan and blah, 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 blah. It just tells you that it's not even the conventional war anymore. I can't even remember the last time I heard that, Ukraine and Russia, anybody on the front line. All you hear is drone, 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 drone. And it's getting scary. These drones are AI-propelled or AI or automated, and they are propelled with robots, and they go straight precision target. It's all tech-driven. Yeah. Just about technology. Yeah. And so technology is indeed a blessing, but can be a curse, depending on how we navigate going forward.
My last question, Fred. You've advised our security chiefs to involve the youth. But the African youth have also been told for a very long time that they're leaders of tomorrow, and they've waited for that tomorrow. It hasn't come. In many, many countries.
Oh my God.
No, I keep saying I love Rwanda. I see the government being very deliberate about involving young people. You'll see them even in a security conference as big as this one.
Yep.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of young people playing an important role. It's a different story in other countries. So if the youth are not being involved, how can they put themselves there? How can they contribute? How can they use technology? Let's say they have not yet been involved, they've not been called into these spaces, but we are all actively doing something online. We're all actively downloading or whatever, passing information. What role can the young people of Africa play in securing Africa?
This example is not a very good example. The Arab Spring example, where one young man had to give himself up and things happened. So the thing is that sometimes life doesn't give you what you deserve. Life gives you what you demand, sometimes. Many times, actually. So, which means that African youths would have to come together. If African youths come together with their sheer size and sheer population in any country, there's a lot that can be done, So we also need to get ourselves together, get our young people to get themselves together also towards pursuing a cause, right? Unfortunately, social media is causing a lot of division. Social media is causing a lot of disinformation, and so the amount of hatred you find online is also growing. So we've got to find a way to draw up a balance and ensure that young people, you can't be against yourself. You got to be for yourself. You got to be for yourself.
Always.
Don't allow this divide and rule that keeps happening, and that's what keeps you out of it. And you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared, and you can't be prepared if all you do is spend your time cursing and shouting and turning on social media. You got to also create time for your personal development. You got to create time for new skills. You got to create time to grow yourself, grow your business, start a business, think about your future, write down your goals. Think about the next 10 years. What will it be like for you, right? So I think that is the preparation that meets opportunity. So and so African because whether the older generation like it or not, they're going to leave the scene. Yeah. Life is a progression. Life is in transition. So at some point, they're going to leave the scene. So I would say to the African youth, don't be disheartened. Continue to bring yourself together. Continue to develop your skills. Continue to have the right skills and the right mindset. Because indeed, you have no choice but to be the leader of tomorrow. Yeah. That's the reality. It's going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of time. And in many cases, they may not the guys who are holding it now may not relinquish it.
Yes.
But you got to find ways to pull ourselves together and take it and make it go for it legitimately.
Yeah.
Because that's life. Life is about transition. But I know that the force of the youth cannot be played with and cannot be toyed with, and that's why we must channel that energy positively.
Fred, thank you. This is
Thank you,
amazing.
Thank you, Jackie.
You're amazing.
Thank you, Jackie.
Fred Agbata, what a powerful conversation, and I love it. His closing tomorrow might delay to come, but it will eventually come. The message to you, the young person that is watching, is to be prepared. That's it. Be prepared because your time will come. I hope you find this conversation eye-opening, enlightening, and I hope that it's given you the steam that you needed, the energy and the passion to start afresh if you had stopped or thought of stopping. May it be that engine that powers you up moving on so that we can continue doing great things for ourselves and the continent at large. Thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.